Nice. That's one of them new Ben Franklins you count there, baby Bob.
You don't stop.
Gotta get that money.
You don't stop.
Oh man, this is how we do it. East, west.
Back in the whip, moving around town. So today we're gonna talk about 3 things you should do, or 3 phases you need to successfully go through before you enter a committed relationship, exclusive relationship, or you start to, venture into the depths of long-term commitment or marriage, if that is your goal. This video is really applicable to both men and women. Of course, I'm always, or most of the time, I'm speaking to my guys directly, but women, if you stumble across this, feel free to use this because it strongly applies to you too. So we're gonna go through 3 steps today, 3 phases. So step number 1 is make sure you go through some type of hoe phase. So let's just start. Let's just knock them in the mouth real quick. Just punch them in the neck off the rip. Make sure you go through some type of hoe phase. Make sure you get out there and you see what's out there. So now let's specifically talk about what hoe phase means, because it doesn't necessarily mean have sex with a bunch of people or have sex with a certain amount of people before you do something. So we're not specifically talking about sexual activities. When we say hoe phase, we're speaking from a conceptual place. So make sure you go through a hoe phase, which means make sure you get out there and you converse with multiple people that you may be attracted to. Make sure you date multiple people. Make sure you experience multiple people. So if that means that you're experiencing these people or you're going through these things on a sexual level, that is fine. Of course, make sure you're being smart about it, staying safe, getting checked out, using protection. But make sure you get out there and you really find out what it is you like, and make sure you get out there and you check off the box of not leaving stones unturned. So especially for my guys on a deliberate level, sometimes I see guys and they get married and they're like super early 20s, or even sometimes late teen years, maybe 18 or 19. Some people may get married, and then it's always this sense of like, maybe I did that shit too quick, or maybe there was some girls out there I should have, been with or at least experienced before I settled down long term, and now I'm unhappy sexually in my marriage, and we're not really attracted to each other, or shit is kind of fading or whatever. So of course there are other factors that go into those types of things, but also for women too, make sure you get out there and really find out what it is you like. So speaking to my women directly, sometimes you may find a guy that you think is the one, or you may be dating somebody who checks off all the boxes of being a high quality man, or somebody you should want to settle down with. He may be attractive, he may have a good job, he may come from a good family, he may check off all these boxes, but there's still something that inside of you that he's not really doing for you, or there's something that you're not really attracted to, or there's something that you're just unhappy with, either with that person or within yourself. And I think a lot of women have a problem admitting this out loud, and sometimes even admitting this to themselves, and they try to fight the urge of having the whole phase or really properly going through a whole phase because of what society may think of them, or what their friends may think of them, or what the other guys that they may be interested in may think of them. But here's the thing, you're not going to get what you want unless you're fully developed and fully satisfied. So that's my message to women. And I see more women than men try to check off these boxes for completion without properly going through necessary steps. Even when those steps may feel like the wrong thing to do, it's actually the right thing to do, because you're properly going through your journey to make sure that you are fully prepared for and fully satisfied for what it is you say, think, or feel you may want in life. So that's directly to my women, but for both genders, make sure you go through some type of whole phase, make sure you go through some type of dating phase so you know exactly what it is you want, exactly what it is you like, exactly what it is you're interested in. By doing this, you'll also discover, you know, some values of yours that you may not have noticed that you have, or some deal breakers that you thought may have been a positive thing for you, or that should be a positive thing for you, and you find out, you know, you don't want nothing to do with that shit. So very important that you date multiple people, entertain multiple people, and start off kind of, you know, spreading your seeds out there, just so in a, like I said, in a communication sense. If that is also in a sexual sense, that's fine. Just make sure that you're being safe, you know, getting checkups, taking care of yourself, like shower after sex, like, you know, use condoms, eat right, take care of your body, take care of your physical being. That goes into taking care of yourself. So number one is to make sure that you successfully complete that initial whole phase before you jump into any type of committed situation. All right, so what is this car about to do, man? This is dangerous, by the way. Do not do this. Number two, live on your own and know how to take care of yourself by yourself first. So this is a even bigger mistake, and this is probably, in my opinion, probably the biggest mistake that I see committed couples or committed, you know, people in relationships do, that I would never advise. So I see guys do it, girls do it. Of course, guys and girls do it because guys and girls get together. Duh. But just on an individual level, what I mean is that I'll see a guy go from, you know, having a roommate to, you know, dating this girl. She's living with roommates, or she's living with her parents, and I'm living with my roommate. So we're gonna go ahead and settle down together. So I'm gonna go from having a roommate to living with someone, you know, or living with her, or moving in with her, whatever. So, and then, you know, you got girls who, they graduate college, or they're trying to get their stuff together, and they got a roommate, or they're living with their parents, and then, you know, they do the same thing. They go from living with a roommate or with their parents to living with their significant other before marriage, or just right away. And they've never, the common denominator is neither party has never lived on their own. They've never taken care of themselves by themselves. Why this is a problem is because if you're living with a roommate and you're living with somebody on a friendship level, on a platonic friendship level, or like your homeboy, homegirl, you know, sister, cousin, just whatever, you're operating under a different, way different framework, you know. And the same thing happens when you're still living with your parents. You're operating your living situation under a completely different framework, you know. So you're living with your friend, you know, y'all may have disagreements, such and shit like that, but you know, that's your boy, you know, y'all cuss each other out, or, you know, y'all talk a little shit about something, or, you know, whatever. It's no big deal. You're living with your homegirl, same thing, or, you know, maybe your sister or something like that. It's an entirely different relationship dynamic. With your parents, you know, for the most part, you have to abide by their rules. A lot of people who live with their parents don't necessarily feel completely on their own, or grown, or like they can really actually do, you know, what it is they want to do because they're living at their parents' house, you know. So when you skip the step of not living by yourself, what happens is that, once again, you never really venture into and figure out what it is that makes you tick, what it is you like, you know, your ideal living situation, because you never get a chance to really venture into that world by yourself and really master yourself in that way. So when you go from living with a roommate or living with a family member or a parent, and then you immediately move into living with your intimate partner, what kind of happens is that you both feel like, oh yeah, we're finally free, or I'm finally free, and then she's feeling like she's finally free, and then you move in together, and then you try to do things and you try to live as, fuck man, I got a goddamn phone call. I forgot to put my phone on do not disturb. Always do that shit. So what I was saying is, when you do that, when you move in with your partner before you've lived by yourself, what happens is that you both try to live as individuals with each other, because you both finally feel free. You're not living with a roommate, you're not living with a family member or a parent, so you try to move in together, but then you try to do your own things in the same household, and that shit usually turns into a clash unless you both are fucking identical twins or some shit, you know, which rarely ever happens, you know. So what you need to do is live by yourself so you can really figure out what it is you like as a person. So you can really figure out, you know, okay, this is how I like my living situation, this is what I care for. You know, you get used to knowing how to pay bills all by yourself, because that really helps you to appreciate your partner's energy or your spouse's energy and their money and their financial situation. What also happens too is that, and you know, not to throw any shade, but this happens to women a lot, is sometimes when you move in, you know, with your guy right away, as a woman, you naturally feel like, oh, I have a, you know, safety net, or I have some type of cushion, or I have my man who's protecting me and who's going to support me and look out for me. So, you know, sometimes as women, or as a woman, you can become kind of naturally kind of loose with your habits or loose with your ways, because you feel like everything is secure, not only from a financial perspective, but also within the relationship. You know, some women become a little unmotivated or demotivated once they actually live with their spouse. So, you know, when it comes to finances, which what we're talking about, when it comes to finances, it's just like you move in and you go from really budgeting your money, really being tight, really being smart and logical with your money decisions, to all of a sudden, you know, you're doing more shopping online, you're a little bit loose, you're only really taking care of your money enough to split, you know, whatever bills y'all decided on. And now you're not only are you putting the household in jeopardy, you're putting your own personal future in jeopardy too, you know, because now you don't really have much of a savings account, you're not really investing in the future, you're not really making good sound decisions as an individual adult. And, you know, like I talk about all the time, great teams are made up of great individuals. Sometimes women fall into this subconscious trap of losing their sense of being a high-level individual just because they've partnered up with the man, or they're living with their man, or whatever. As guys, we see that a lot too in other relationship dynamics. Like, you know, when y'all were living apart, she took, you know, care of her body a little bit more, or, you know, she was not so loose with her hygiene, or, you know, she cleaned up a little bit better, she wasn't as junky and all that type of shit. Then when y'all move in together, her shit's all over the fucking place, because now she feels free and safe and secure, and you like, man, fuck this, you know. But the same thing goes, you know, everybody doesn't fall into the same box. You know, we try not to speak in extremes, but these things do happen on a large scale, and they also happen with men too. So it's a very good practice to make sure that you live by yourself first before you attempt to join forces with your partner on a living situation, sharing space, sharing finances, sharing care-abouts and value systems within a living cohabitation situation. All right, so make sure you live by yourself first before you attempt to take the next step or move in together or have a committed relationship where you both live in the same apartment or house or whatever. All right, and then the last one is to kind of relates to the last point, but completely different bullet points. So the last one is make sure you are completely financially secure. All right, so, you know, we hate to think that anything will happen to our relationship, you know, but of course we have all been in relationships where we thought it was the one, or you two were head over heels in love with each other, and then all of a sudden shit falls to shit. Somebody starts acting stupid, or somebody all of a sudden wants something else out of life, or somebody wants to take a different path, or they just don't find you attractive anymore. Maybe they've been exposed to something else, or they're still trying to find themselves, they're lost. Just whatever the fuck happens. All right. But once again, this topic isn't really related to, you know, the other person. You know, we're talking about self-development at the highest level. So make sure you are financially secure so that you can live a very happy, safe, secure life for yourself before you attempt to join forces with another person and fall into their operating system within their financial potential or financial bracket, if you will. So, you know, if you're with somebody, you're not all the way financially secure, that could hurt the relationship because there could be things that you may want or may not want to do. But if you're not, you know, equally yoked when it comes to finances, you may fall victim, or you may be at mercy to your partner's financial decisions or financial savvy or financial literacy or just whatever, you know. So you want to make sure that your finances are in check so that you always have that safe, secure feeling within yourself to know that, you know, not only can you pay for whatever you want to pay for, but if something were to go wrong within the relationship or outside of the relationship, you know that you can still continue to operate as a high functioning individual without feeling at mercy to your partner in any given way. And this is not just to not only be at mercy to your partner in a negative way, like if you find out, you know, your partner has turned mean or evil on you, but, you know, also in a good way too. So even if you have a partner that's willing and that's happy to help you on a financial level, eventually this could either take a toll on the relationship from a emotional, mental perspective, or, you know, just strictly from a financial perspective. There'll be things that you two won't be able to do together or experience together or set up together if only one of you is really financially stable and ready to go, you know. So this isn't really a super deep conversation about, oh, well, my man wants to take care of me, then I'm gonna let him. I'm like, yeah, okay, but, you know, a man's only gonna do that shit for so long before he kind of starts to look at you and view you as a liability. So you don't ever want to put yourself, as a woman or for women, you don't ever want to put yourself in a space to you having to be at mercy or victim to your husband's checkbook or say so just because he's willing to do so. This will help you gain more respect from your man. This will help him see you as a contributing part or factor in their relationship. In the relationship. And even if he's willing to do those things for you, it's always good for you to have your own, and to have your own in a cohesive way, not in a abrasive or combative or aggressive way. A lot of women mistake that too, to where they sometimes fail to balance having their own with also continuing to be a feminine woman in the process. So just because you have your own money, your own job, your own business, and you can technically take care of yourself, doesn't mean that you should be abrasive or rude in nature towards, you know, your spouse or your man because of this. Because, you know, he shouldn't be doing that shit to you either. If he is, you know, he's very, you know, bitch-like, and you need to get rid of his ass anyway. But same thing goes for women too. Just because you have your own doesn't mean that you are of a framework to be rude or mean-natured towards your man either. So both of you should be financially secure so that neither one of you are not only at mercy or at victim to each other, but neither one of you are at mercy or potentially in a space to be victim to circumstance or emergency or medical mishap or losing your job or just whatever. So all in all, the consensus is to just be a high level functioning adult on your own before you try to join forces with anybody else, all right? And that's in any situation. That's in business, that's in, you know, other partnerships, that's in like sports, that's in all of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't try to go be a subpar shitty athlete on a great team, because you're just gonna bring the team down. You know, don't try to be a part of a band, you know, and you suck at playing your individual instrument. You know what I'm saying? So it's really a concept that falls into a bunch of different areas of life, or a bunch of different categories of life. So the same thing goes with relationships. A lot of things are related to each other, or can be related to each other. But number one, make sure you go through a whole phase. Make sure you date. Make sure you know exactly what it is you like and respect and value, not only within a partner, but within yourself. Make sure you learn to live by yourself and take care of yourself by yourself, so that once again, you know exactly what type of life experience you value or don't value, or what it is that you would like or be able to compromise and live with as an individual moving into a partnership. And then number one, make sure that you're always aiming to acquire and remain financially stable and financially prominent. So that's all we got today. Hope this helps some people. Hope this continues to help my guys. All the ladies that stumble across this video, I hope y'all can learn something from it too. Of course, I speak to my men, so the way I talk isn't always the most pleasant, but you know, I hope you can learn something and grab the message from this too. All right, I'll see y'all later. Peace.